Whoa, this is the way to man. Hold it and don't complain. Smile through the thunder rain. Won't let it show.
Yeah, this is the Way to Man show. Welcome in. Welcome in. Before a man ever says he's tired, most of the time he's been tired a long time. He just learned how to move with it. He learned how to go to work with pressure sitting on his chest like a second heartbeat. He learned how to answer, I'm good, when he ain't been good in months. He learned how to carry bills, marriage, fatherhood, respect, failure, expectations, doubt, and past mistakes, and still walk in the house like nothing is wrong. He learned how to hold his family together while quietly falling apart on the inside. And that's the part that people don't always understand about men. A lot of men are not emotionless, they're overloaded. A lot of men are not cold, they're trying not to collapse. A lot of men are not angry for no reason, they're carrying pain they were never given permission to explain. A lot of men are not silent because they have nothing to say. They're silent because every time they tried to explain away, somebody told them to be stronger. Somebody changed the subject. Somebody made it about themselves. Somebody told them real men don't talk like that. And after enough of those moments, a man stops trying to explain. He just carries it, quietly, alone. And the weight gets heavier. Not because the load changed, but because carrying it alone makes everything feel twice as heavy. But you're built for this. And this show, it's going to prove it to you. Here's what nobody tells young men when they're growing up. Strength without somewhere to put the pain turns into anger. Strength without direction turns into isolation. Strength without honesty turns into a mask. Strength without rest turns into resentment. Strength without purpose turns into self-destruction, which you see a lot of young men going through today. And a lot of men in this world right now are strong, but they're drowning. Not because they're weak, not because they can't handle life, but because nobody ever taught them that handling life doesn't mean hiding from everything it makes you feel. You can be a provider and still be in pain. You could be a protector and still feel unprotected. You could be a leader and still feel lost. You could be a father and still be carrying wounds from your own father. You could be a husband and still feel like nobody sees you. Those things aren't contradictions. That's manhood. And the fact that you feel all of this and you're still standing, the fact that you carry the contradiction of being strong on the outside and hurting on the inside, and you haven't quit, that's not weakness, that's capacity. Weak men don't carry what you carry. Weak men would have quit a long time ago. But being strong enough to survive doesn't mean carrying it wrong is acceptable. Being built for the weight means learning how to carry it with structure, with discipline, with purpose, and with truth. Because a man can be strong enough to survive anything and still destroy himself if he doesn't learn where to put the pressure. And that's what this show is about. Not just naming the weight, but teaching men how to carry it the right way. That's why I created the Way to Men show. And let me be real with you about what this is and what this isn't. Because people will try to box this in before they even listen. This ain't about complaining. Men don't need a show to complain. We could do that at home for free. There's too many shows out there complaining and whining and all that already. Go watch one of them. This ain't that. This ain't about blaming women. If a man's whole identity depends on pointing the finger at somebody else, he's not ready for this conversation. We passed that here. This ain't about acting like men are perfect. We're not. I'm not. Nobody I ever invite on this show will ever pretend to be. And this ain't entertainment. This ain't content for the sake of content. This is a space for men and women, but men, to hear the truth about what they carry and to be reminded that they were designed to carry it. The pressure to provide, not just money, but stability, security, direction, confidence. The pressure to be respected at work, in the streets, in the home, and in the mirror. The pressure to protect physically, emotionally, financially, spiritually. The pressure to lead, even when nobody's following and nobody's helping. The pressure to fail quietly, because the world doesn't give men much grace when they fall. The pressure to hurt without making anybody uncomfortable, because the moment a man shows pain, the room gets awkward. That pressure is real, every bit of it. And I'm not going to sit here and act like it's not. But I'm also not going to let any man sit in that pressure and think it was meant to destroy him. The pressure is heavy, but you are not fragile. And sometimes the heaviest thing a man carries isn't his job, it isn't his bills, it isn't even his past. Sometimes the heaviest thing he carries is the fact that nobody ever asked him how heavy it was. And nobody ever told him he was built to handle it. So on this show, we're going to talk about it. All of it. Manhood, marriage, fatherhood, failure, purpose, discipline, pain, redemption, faith, forgiveness, and everything men live through but rarely say out loud. We're going to name the weight, and then we're going to remind you what you're made of. The bottle. Now let's talk about what you see on the set, because everything here means something. The bottle lamp you see right there, that ain't decoration, and it ain't about drinking. It represents pressure. It represents temptation. It represents things men run to when they don't know where else to put the pain. The bottle, the bar, the rage, the late night, the numbness, the silence, the streets, the bad habits that feel like relief in the moment but steal from you in the long run. Every man knows what his bottle is, whether it's literal or not. And every man has had a moment where that bottle felt easier than the battle, where numbing the pain felt safer than naming the pain, where escaping felt smarter than facing. But look what is coming out of it. Light. Because the message of this show is simple. What could have destroyed you can become part of your purpose. What you went through doesn't have to define you. It can refine you. The burden didn't break you. It lit the room. And the reason it lit the room instead of burning you down is because you were built to contain it. The pressure didn't destroy you because destruction wasn't never the design. The design was transformation. The design was that the very thing that tried to break you will become the fuel that lights your purpose. That's not just a saying. That's the foundation of everything we're going to build here. And this mask, every man wears one. Some men wear more than one. The mask you wear at work so people think you're fine. The mask you wear at home so your wife doesn't worry. The mask you wear around your boys so nobody call you soft. The mask you wear for your kids so they still feel safe. The mask you wear at church so nobody sees the war going on inside your chest. This mask isn't always a lie. Sometimes it's survival. Sometimes a man put the mask on because if he takes it off, he doesn't know what people will think of what's underneath. But here's the problem with the mask. If you wear it long enough, you forget who you are without it. And a man who can't recognize himself is a dangerous thing. Not because he's violent, but because he's lost. And lost men make lost decisions. Lost men raise confused sons. Lost men beyond repair. He's not worst version of himself. The man underneath the mask is the man you were always supposed to be. Before the pain taught you to hide. Before the world taught you to perform. Before survival taught you to pretend. And that man, the real one, the raw one, the honest one, he is strong enough to live without the mask. He hasn't been told that yet. On this show, we taking the mask off. Not in a reckless way, but in the way that not in the way that tears men down, but in the way that gives men permission to say the thing they've been holding, to discover that men underneath the mask is stronger than the mask ever was. So if you're a man watching this, and you've been carrying something nobody knows about, you're in the right place. If you're a woman watching this, and you've been wondering why the man in your life is the way he is, you're in the right place. Because the man you love might be fighting a war he has never been given words how to describe. If you're a young man growing up without a blueprint for what real manhood looks like, you're in the right place. And what I want you to know right now is this. The weight you're already starting to feel, it's not a sign that something was wrong with you. It's a sign that something is being built in you. If you're a father trying to be what your father wasn't, but nobody taught you how, you're in the right place. And the fact that you're even trying means you're already further than you think. This is the Way to Men show. Welcome in. Now, before we get into the first episode, I want to do something. Before we go any further, let me say a quick prayer for every man listening and everybody under the sound of my voice. God, cover the man carrying weight nobody sees. Strengthen his mind, steady his heart, protect his family. Guide his decisions, help him carry his burden with wisdom instead of bitterness. Turn his pressure into purpose, his pain into discipline, and his silence into strength. Remind him that he is not forgotten, not finished, and not alone. Amen. All right, let's get into it, because we ain't wasting no more time here. Today I want to talk about the silent weight men carry. Not the obvious weight everybody could see, not the bills, not the job, not the title on your LinkedIn profile. I'm talking about the private weight. The kind you don't post online. The kind you don't explain at work. The kind you don't always tell your wife. The kind you would never put in front of your children. The kind your friends wouldn't even guess you were carrying because you show up so well on the outside. Because somewhere along the line, a lot of men were taught that being honest about pressure makes you weak. That admitting that you're struggling is the same as admitting that you're failing. That a real man handles his business in silence and doesn't need anyone's help. And so men carry. They carry quietly. They carry consistently. They carry until their body starts screaming at them. They carry until their relationships start cracking. They carry until one day something small happens. Something that wouldn't even make sense to anybody else. They snap. Or they shut down. Or they disappear into themselves. And everybody around them says, what happened to him? Nothing happened to him. Everything was happening to him. He just never said anything. But here's what nobody told that man. The weight he was carrying wasn't proof that he was in the wrong life. It was proof that he was living a life with real stakes, real responsibility, and real purpose. And that's the kind of life was always be heavy. I don't believe that being honest about pressure makes you weak. I believe a man who can identify what he's carrying is in a better position to control that than a man who pretends that that weight don't even exist. And I believe when a man understands he's built to carry what's on him, he stops collapsing under it and start using it. Some of you watching right now, not lazy, not soft, not looking for a handout, not weak, y'all tired. Some of you watching right now are tired. Tired of being needed, but never understood. Tired of being the one everybody leans on, but having nobody to lean on yourself. Tired of being counted on, but never checked on. Tired of people respecting what you provide, but completely ignoring what it costs you. Tired of walking into a room and everybody expecting you to have it together when you barely holding it together. Tired of giving your best and having people only notice when you fall short. Tired of being strong for everybody else and having no one be strong for you. And some of you are tired of yourselves. Tired of repeating the same cycles. Tired of the man you become. Tired of the gap between the man you are and the man you know you should be. I want to say this clearly, and I need every man watching me to hear me. You're not crazy for feeling that weight. The weight is real. The pressure is real. The exhaustion is real. And the loneliness is real. But the weight being real doesn't mean you're the wrong man for the job. The reason the weight is on you is because something inside you is strong enough to hold it. Life doesn't hand heavy things to fragile men. Responsibility does not fall on the shoulders of men who can't carry it. But you're built for this. And I'm not going to let you off the hook. You're responsible for what you do with it. That's where manhood gets real. Because carrying weight is one thing. Every man carries weight. That's part of the deal. But letting that weight turn you into somebody you don't recognize, letting that weight turn you cold, letting that weight turn you absent, letting that weight turn you bitter, controlling, reckless, or destructive, that's a choice. A hard choice. A painful choice. But a choice. Pain is not an excuse to become a worse man. Pain is the raw material you use to become a better one. But only if you're honest about what it is as the weight that you're carrying. Because a man who is built for the weight but refuses to carry it properly is wasting his own design. And a man who is built for the weight and learn how to carry it with discipline, with structure, with purpose, that man becomes something powerful. Not powerful because he doesn't hurt. Powerful because he hurts and still builds. Powerful because he feels the pressure and still leads. Powerful because the weight that could have crushed him became the foundation he stand on. A man has to learn how to turn pressure into structure. Because if you don't give pressure a place to go, it will leak out somewhere. And when it leaks, it never leaks in a clean way. It doesn't politely announce itself. It doesn't send a warning. It just shows up in places you didn't expect. It leaks out in your attitude. You start snapping at people over small things. You start carrying a tone that pushes people away before they even get close. You start making every conversation a confrontation because the pressure inside you needs a fight, even when there isn't one. It leaks out in your marriage. You stop communicating. You get defensive over everything. You start treating your wife like an opponent instead of a partner because you're fighting a battle that has nothing to do with her, but she's the closest person in the room. It leaks out in your parenting. You're there physically, but you're gone mentally. Your kids talking to you, but you can't hear them because the noise in your own head is louder. And they don't understand why daddy is in the room, but not really in the room. It leaks out in your health. You stop eating right. You stop sleeping. You stop moving your body. You start numbing yourself because feeling everything is too much. And the body that was built to carry you start breaking down because you stop taking care of the vehicle. It leaks out in bad habits. The bottle, the screen, the anger, the shortcuts, the things that feel like relief in the moment, but leave you emptier when they're done. It leaks out in silence. You go quiet. You pull back. You build up a wall so thick that by the time somebody notices you're gone, you've been gone for months. But here's the thing about the leak. The leak is not proof that you're broken. The leak is proof that you're carrying something real without a system to manage it. A pipe doesn't burst because the water is too strong. It bursts because the pipe wasn't given enough structure to handle the flow. You don't need less weight. You need more structure. You need somewhere intentional for the pressure to go. That's why discipline matters. And I'm not talking about Instagram version of discipline. I'm not talking about cold showers and alarm clocks and grinding 24/7. I'm talking about real discipline. Discipline is being honest enough to say I'm under pressure and I'm not going to let this pressure control me. Discipline is having a hard day and choosing not to take it out on people who love you. Discipline is sitting with uncomfortable emotions instead of running from them. Discipline is asking for help when your pride is begging you not to. Discipline is doing the hard internal work, even when nobody is watching. Nobody will applaud you for it. Discipline is looking at the weight on your shoulders and saying, I was built to carry this, so I'm going to learn to carry it right. That's the discipline that changes a man's life. Not the kind you post, the kind you practice when the camera is off and nobody is keeping the score. Because discipline is not the opposite of pain. Discipline is structure that makes pain productive. It's the difference between pressure that destroys you and pressure that builds you. Same weight, different framework. And the man who builds the framework doesn't just survive the weight, he uses it. I'm not sitting here like I got everything figured out. I don't. Not at all. But I just notice it. I need you to know that. I'm not sitting behind this desk because I've arrived. I'm sitting here because I survived enough to have something worth saying. I'm talking from life experience, not from a theory, not from a textbook, from life. I know what it feels like to have responsibilities stacked on top of you and still have to show up like nothing wrong. I know what it feels like when people had an outside version of you, strong version, the capable version, the man who looked like he handles everything, and they have no idea what you had to fight through internally just to get dressed that morning. I know what it feels like to be expected to keep going because that's what men do, because quitting is not an option, because falling apart is not an option, because asking for grace is not something anybody offered you, or it's not an option. I know that weight. And I also know what it feels like to realize the weight was never meant to stop me. It was meant to strengthen me. The weight was the training. The struggle was the curriculum. The hard seasons were the classroom. And the same is true for you. But at some point, I had to stop just surviving and start building. Not just building money, not just building reputation, not just building an image people respected, building myself, my mind, my discipline, my emotional control, my purpose, my relationship with God, the relationship with my family, my relationship with the man I see in the mirror. Because here's the truth nobody tells you. You could build an entire life on the outside and still be in construction on the inside. You can have the house, the cars, the family, and the respect, and still not know who you are when the room is empty and it's just you. That's the real work. The work nobody sees. The work nobody claps for. But the work that determines whether everything else you built can actually stand. And the good news, you was built for it. The same way you were built to provide, you were built to grow. The same way you were built to protect your family, you were built to protect your own peace. The same way you were built to lead, you were built to lead yourself first. Before I close, I want to name some of the weight, because part of dealing with the pressure is identifying it. You can't fight what you won't name, but I also want to name what's inside you that was designed to handle it. The weight of provision. A man is expected to provide, not just financially, emotionally, spiritually, directionally. A man is supposed to know where the family is going, even when he doesn't know where he's going himself. The pressure never takes a day off. It's there when you wake up. It's there when you lie down. And the moment you fall short, People don't see the 99 times you showed up. They see the one time you didn't. But the weight of provision is not punishment. It's an assignment. And the fact that people depend on you is not a curse. It's confirmation that something inside you has the capacity to carry them. The weight of legacy. A lot of men are carrying the unfinished business of their fathers. They're trying to be what they never saw, trying to give what they never got, trying to break cycles they didn't create. And that's noble, but it's heavy because you're building a plane while you're flying it. But the fact that you were never even trying to break the cycle means that the cycle done met its match. Your father may have had the tools, but you're picking them up. And that legacy you're building is already different from the one you received. The weight of loneliness. Men are surrounded by people and still alone. Because men don't always have the kind of friendships where they can say, bro, I'm not okay. Most men have people to hang out with. Very few men have people that they can be honest with. And that loneliness eats at a man, slowly. It doesn't kill you all at once. It chips away at you. But loneliness is not a sign that you're unloved. Sometimes a sign that you're being refined. Sometimes the isolation is preparation. Sometimes God removes the noise so you can finally hear what he's been trying to tell you. The weight of identity. A lot of men don't actually know who they are on the outside of what they do. A lot of men don't actually know who they are outside of what they do. Take away the job, the title, the income, the role, and some men have no idea what's left. That's not scrum. That's dependency, dressed up as discipline. And the man who doesn't know who he is will accept any definition the world gives him. But the confusion about who you are is not permanent. It's a season. And the fact that you are even asking the question means you're closer to the answer than you think. A man who doesn't care about identity never questions it. The fact that it bothers you is proof that something deeper is trying to surface. The weight of silence. And then there's the weight of everything you never said. Every time you held it in. Every time you swallowed it. Every time you said, I'm good, and you weren't. The silence doesn't disappear. It compounds. And one day, it's louder than anything else in the room. But the silence doesn't have to be permanent. And the first time you break it, the first time you let the real words come out, you'll realize that the thing you were afraid to say had less power than you gave it. Your voice was always strong enough. You just never gave it permission to speak. So here's the question I want to leave you with tonight. And I don't want you to answer it for me. I want you to answer it for yourself, honestly, when nobody's watching. What weight are you carrying right now that nobody knows about? Yeah, a little technical difficulties. Still working on how to, do this properly. But again, I want to ask you. Now I don't want you to answer this for me. I want you to answer this for yourself, honestly. When nobody's watching. What weight are you carrying right now that no one knows about? And more importantly, is that weight building you or is it breaking you? Because the goal of the show is not to act like men don't feel pain. We do. The goal is not to pretend that men are invincible. We're not. The goal is to stop letting pain drive the car. Pain can teach you. Pressure can sharpen you. Failure can humble you. Responsibility can mature you. Loss can redirect you. Even loneliness can strengthen you if you use it to build instead of to hide. But only if you face it. So this week, I'm not asking you to fix everything. I'm asking you to have a breakthrough. I'm asking you to do one thing. Don't run from the weight. Name it. Study it. control it and start turning it into purpose. Because you were not built to be crushed by what you carry. You were built to carry it and still move forward. That's what separates a man from a boy. Not the absence of weight, the ability to carry it with intention. This the Weight of Men show. I'm the weight bearer. Good night.
Whoa.